Sunday, chop it up. Y'all come on into the live. Let me see this. Is it working? There we go. There we go. There we go. Check it out. Microphone check. Welcome back to another Commercial Truck Chronicles. I thank you guys for coming back. Joining me here. Appreciate y'all. Hopefully you can hear my mic. You can hear my mic. A couple things I was going to talk about. Wait for some people to come over here. A little bit. All right. The original Ruffles in the house, Ruffle chips. Sunday, June 6th. Oh, I'm sorry. Sunday, June 14th, 2026. Welcome back to the show. So the big talk is does anybody know what the big talk is right now? And I ain't got nothing to do with trucking. Well, it does affect the truck. No, it doesn't. It's not affecting your truck driver. SpaceX, did you get it? Did you get the SpaceX? Are you a SpaceX? Do you believe in Elon Musk taking everybody to Mars and all that stuff? Broadcast. Kind of back over here, bring your mic this way too. A little bit more smooth. Yeah, that's a lot better. And you can hear me good too. I mean, I don't just think right in my face, but so this, I believe SpaceX is not a bad investment. I believe that SpaceX is probably going to create a lot of wealthy people. A lot of people that are already invested in it, they probably they have the money to buy into the next big IPO. Um, it's just like Tesla. And then they said they're going to merge with Tesla eventually. That SpaceX is going to merge with Tesla. And that's probably going to be good for people that, for everybody's bought Tesla. So, probably not a bad idea to, if you missed out on Tesla, because it's Tesla's out there now. Yeah, SpaceX is like $1.07, $1.66. I mean, I'm sorry, $166. Tesla's like 400 something bucks. Yeah, $406. And shout out to you if you got that Tesla. So IPO, SpaceX seems to have got the attention of so many people, right? But here's what I'm saying: I got something else too, because we're not done over here in Iran. I mean, that Strait of Hormuz whole thing. There's a lot of other things that they said, will kick off once they sign the deal. But you got to understand something, right? You got to ask these questions, right? And I like to kind of, I do all the research and stuff. So we know that the Strait of Hormuz, a lot of those countries up there, that they produce oil, but they'll drill the oil, but they're not refining it, right? What good is it if it can't get refined, right? It's of no value to anyone that's up until it's been refined. And so what has been happening, a lot of countries that produce oil that don't refine it, and then there's those like OPEC and a lot of those big companies that do the refining, right? You're seeing their stocks and stuff take off. Just once that whole conflict started and they closed down the Strait of Hormuz, you saw all kinds. I wish my son was here. He was well into it with his buying, doing the contracts and buying options and stuff. So, um, once that whole conflict started, right, it uncovered a lot of things to a lot of people, right? People didn't really understand and didn't realize, the amount of oil that passed through that strait, but the amount of oil but how much of it was refined. On the way out, it wasn't refined. On the way back in, yeah, it was refined. But guess what? It was at a premium price at that point, right? So um, there's a gentleman down in Nigeria, right? Um, and he decided, because Nigeria, Africa, they also produce a lot of oil, but they don't refine, or they were not refining their oil up until recently. All right, so they have a gentleman named I think it's Dangote or something. Yeah, he built a refinery in Nigeria, right? This thing costs $20 billion. $20 billion. And what Nigeria has been able to do is they've been able to refine their own oil that at one point they would export it and then buy it back once it was refined at a premium price. And, you know, that didn't do well for them as far as, their economy and stuff is concerned. But everybody's relying on oil. We're here in America. Everybody relying on diesel fuel, petrol prices, jet fuel, all of this stuff. If it's not refined, we're pretty much at the mercy of the guys, the big companies that are refined, right? So right now, one of the largest, if not actually, it it is the largest refinery on the planet. The largest oil refinery on the planet is about to IPO. So, there's like I said, there's a couple of big things getting ready to pop. Now, the correlation between, this war or the conflict, I mean, conflict over in Iran, um, SpaceX IPO. Now, what are they using for fuel to get into space? I don't think they're using jet fuel or diesel. I mean, what are they using? Does anybody know? Put it in the chat. Rocket fuel, right? Rocket fuel. What does the rocket fuel made? Where do they get that rocket fuel? Let me see if I can find that out for you. If you're not asking these questions, you're not looking to invest. That's fine. But you gotta do your research, you gotta do your due diligence, you gotta do your homework. Anywhere I'm gonna land, anywhere I'm gonna park some money, I need to do some research. But up in the IPO, just like the IPO with SpaceX, everybody knew it was coming. Everybody knew it was coming. I mean, if you didn't know that they were going to IPO, you didn't know Elon had been talking about it, that they were going to IPO SpaceX and get in while you're early. The people that make the money don't wait for the headlines of, oh, it made all this money. We know it went to this price here. That's like Tesla when, before it IPO'd, you know what I'm saying? Or, Apple or anything like that, before those things IPO'd. You had people that got in early, and those are the ones that pretty much capitalizes the most on a lot of these next big investments as they unfold inside. You say, oh well, most of the people that are making the money are insider traders. Let me see what they use. Oh, listen to this.
Put into one project by one man. In May 2023, President Buhari commissioned it at an official ceremony. Diesel and jet fuel came first. By September 2024, it produced its first commercial gasoline. Then in 2026, 4 million plates capacity, 650,000 barrels per day, making it the first single train refinery anywhere on the planet to reach that throughput. For government refineries, 40 years, tens of billions, zero meaningful output. One private businessman, 13 years, done. And that's exactly where the trouble started. Now let's really ponder on who profits when Nigeria stay dependent. Think about who was making money before refinery existed.
Yes, the big oil companies. Okay, we already know big OPEC and those guys that were doing all the oil refinery, or they were refining the majority of the oil that was shipped globally. All right. So it's one thing to have a nation that can produce oil or pump oil out the ground. It's another thing to be able to refine it. That's why Venezuela, we went over there and they took their oil. They were pumping, they had a lot of oil, but they weren't refining it. And so when they got into the conflict with, the president about, of course, where they who they were using to refine their oil, to turn that oil, that precious commodity, into an asset that fuel price for fuel, jet fuel, and all these other things that they could then turn around and sell to other nations. They had to go through a couple of different. They had to go to a couple of different refineries, and so that oil refinery business is like that's big. That's really big. Big chips. That's big chips, man. Because you can find oil on any continent, pretty much in the globe, in the world. But they do not have the infrastructure or the capability to refine that oil, and that's where you get into a lot of these conflicts. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to talk a little bit more about what's going on. But this is something that's just as serious as SpaceX because the IPO hasn't happened yet. It's up and coming. So when this IPO comes, you want to be ready for this because everybody knows that oil is a big deal. Everybody, not just oil refineries. Okay, the refineries. Go to the source, and that's where you're gonna get your oil, your diesel, your jet fuel. It has to come from a refinery. I mean, it doesn't come out the ground and go straight into a jet.
every tanker of imported diesel, every cargo of refined gasoline, every liter that passed through the subsidy system. Multiple networks, traders, importers, middlemen have built entire businesses around Nigeria's ability to refine its own oil. That was not a problem for them. That was a business model. So when Dangote started producing at scale, that income stream started changing. And that is when the attacks began. In 2024, a dispute broke out between Dangote and Nigeria's
Appreciate you
downstream
guys for hitting the like button.
the regulators claim the refinery oil had high sulfur content, substandard, unfit for market, non-recast testing, and supervised actual laboratory tests. And here's what they found. Dangote's diesel, 87.6 parts per million sulfur, competing market sample 2, 2000 ppm. The fuel already on Nigerian boats was 20 times dirtier than what Dangote was producing. And separately, when UK-based investigators looked into claims that Dangote had imported substandard petrol, they cleared the refinery entirely. What had been imported was standard refinery feedstock, a normal industry practice. So the substandard fuel scandal looked less like a sensitive issue and more like a coordinated PR campaign against a refinery that threatened a very profitable import ecosystem, which raises a question about the city with. If the tests cleared it, if the investigators cleared it, if the data was on Dangote's side, why was so much institutional energy put into discrediting it?
I'll tell you why. They wanted to discredit anything that was Pan African because they don't want to have to buy it from them. They want to be able to sell it to them. All right. They will reset. They didn't want to, they for so long, like I said, they were shipping. A lot of countries, a lot of nations do it. That down there where they took Venezuela. They were shipping their oil out and having it refined, and then they would turn around and buy it back at a premium. They never were able to do the refineries there and that was something that the United States really is now trying to push to get OPEC and all of them down there. But they need a regime change. They needed to get the other guy out of there, all right, and put somebody else in that's going to do the business with, the oil refinery companies that are from the U.S. OPEC, um, um, Halliburton, what's this Chevron. Those companies that they also they refine and produce gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel from the oil that's pumped out the ground. So when Dangote, I think that's how I say his name, he's a billionaire. He's just a very rich man over in Africa. When he decided to, solve Nigeria's problem, I appreciate you guys for hitting that for the like button and for your support. When he decided to deploy his money into solving Nigeria's fuel problem, so that they don't have to, they produce all of this oil, but they don't refine it. Now they got the refinery was up and running, producing like they were number one in the world in production in the whole on the globe. Number one, they're killing it. False claims that it was defective. The oil or the gasoline or the diesel was no good. And then there was a big investigation and they found that no, everything is actually gets two thumbs up, right? So they were refining very good oil, diesel. They were making diesel, they were making gasoline and jet fuel and selling it to I don't say the UK, but they were selling it to Europe or something like that. They were buying it from Nigeria. And at one time, Nigeria was buying it from everybody else at a premium, whoever would do it. So now, as this is already, they're keeping it very, they're keeping this stuff pretty, out of the news, so to speak, right? It's about the IPO, okay? Multi-billions, and it's about to IPO. And here's the other good thing about it, because what's their money? I forget the Naropi, I think that's the name of the money. The Nigerian Naropi, that's the name. So if you're trading on their exchange, because they have an exchange over there, it's going to be openly traded on South African Stock Exchange, and I think the Nigerian Stock Exchange, is these different exchanges outside of the NASDAQ and everything. But I believe that they're going to also IPO on the NASDAQ. They're going to push for this because it's too big. It's too big. They're definitely not trying to talk about it. So, your dividends that you can, because they're going to pay dividends, are going to be paid in US dollars, much like the petrodollar. See how they're getting, they're coming over onto the petro side of things with their dividends paying back their shareholders. So this IPO is going to be just as big as SpaceX. Now, SpaceX up there in the trillions right now. But you get an oil refinery you get the oil refinery that is the number one producer in oil on the globe. Ain't nobody refining this much oil, this many barrels a day. Nowhere. They ain't got nothing to compete with it. Coming from Africa, that's big. That's very, very big. And that's why you don't hear much about it. That's why you don't hear much about it. But you heard it here first, all right? Hit that like button. Your boy got it for you. I'm trying to give you the jewels, man. I tell you, I'll find it. I'll find it. I'll find it. So we want to congratulate them. We want to give them a big shout out, and we want to do some research to find out how you can qualify for, to be able to open up, because you got to know how to get into these. You need to know how and where and when to position yourself. You want to know how to position yourself, where to position yourself, and when you need to be positioned before this thing takes off, which is supposed to take off around mid-September. The IPO is what I'm told. Is what I'm heard. Is what I'm hearing. Is what I heard. Through the diaspora. You know what I'm saying? So this is what I heard through the diaspora. So we're going to be doing some more research on this thing. Because I feel like we, especially me, should own a piece of that. We should own a piece of that. Own a piece of the royalties. You should be getting paid some dividends from, the motherland before anybody else. I should be as entitled to making some of that money as a Nigerian. It's on the open market. They're not saying that anybody outside of Nigeria can get it. So if Nigeria is going to lead the world in oil refinery, I have ancestral roots to go back to, right? I need to be getting a part of it. I need to be a part of that, as far as the diaspora and them being the world leader in refining oil, because oil is a big thing right now. And it's going to always be. As long as we got jet planes that need diesel, need rocket fuel, that all comes from oil. As long as we got these trucks that are going to be, I don't care what they say about animated trucks or automated trucks, are still running by diesel power engines. So that all comes from oil. Yeah, and rightfully so. This is something that is of African origin, right? And I mean I can relate to that. You know what I'm saying? I can see myself being entitled to that. You know the entitlement thing? Yeah, I'm entitled to be able to get some dividends from that. I just got the money, you know. So you want to know when you need to be positioning yourself, how you need to position yourself, right? And research, you know, um, exactly what you need to do, basically. All right. So if you need to go look this up, I'll put a link somewhere in the description after this goes. I'll put a live up there. I'll put a link to a video. I'll probably try to share one of these videos, and hopefully, you know, you can go and Dangote. His name is Dangote. I think it's Gote. That's how you say it. Dangote. The Dangote refinery in Nigeria. You want to look that up, right? And yeah, make sure that you know do the research on that because now the next thing, how we got all of these, you know, cross border, you know, and this is the other thing with this being something that's over in South Africa. I mean, in Africa, okay, and you think about their money and how do you you know, and that's why I said the the uh, the dividends that are going to be paid to people once the IPOs because they're paying their shareholders with U.S. dollars. But this is an African nation. How are they able to, you know, swap that money over into USD, right? How are they able to swap that money over to USD? You know who comes into play when that happens, right? None other than XRP. See, it all comes full circle. Right? It all comes full circle. It all comes full circle. And with this deal that they're gonna be hopefully gotta get to the deal, man. They gotta get to the deal. You don't want to get to the deal. You know what's gonna happen when you get to that deal, right? All the nations in Africa, you know, all those Africa, even the ones way up in you know, the Sudan or up in you know, that's all. That's Africa. Let's just be real. That's all Africa, right? You're not hearing them talk too much about how much you know they got the BRICS nations and stuff like that, and they all working together to you know stop trading or you're doing everything in US dollars as far as the petrol dollar. But truth be told, the US dollar is going to still have it's going to be still a dominant factor in the trade, foreign trade, because people are going to want people in over here are you know, they have assets in other markets outside the country. Or, you know, there's other foreign markets, and when it's time to settle those remittance and those trade, you know, those trades, you know, it has to be able to. You want to be able to get paid in your firm or your native currency, or swap it over into something else. So we go back to that. But how this whole thing all come full circle with this oil, man, in Nigeria, man, I'm telling you, they they got everybody, they caught everybody by surprise with this. And it's a little too late to even try to scale up to be able to produce that many gallons, like to be able to, you know, uh, be the world leader in this. Like they already have it. They're already producing it. They try to make false claims that the oil was not produced, or the oil that was produced was not of a good quality, and then it was discovered that that's all a lie, right? You know, I mean, you know, they'll do anything they can. I'm pretty sure to try to, you know, stop this from going forward or becoming, you know, um, uh, recognized globally. But what they won't do is tell you that they invest their money over in it too, you know, because they're gonna try and not tell you about it in the meantime. So yeah, you want to keep your eyes out for this, all right? And I'm gonna let her do a little more talking about it, so you guys can hear some more.
I will be making another video, right, to give you those African countries that are more suitable for stock exchange, right? So if this is something that you would love me to do, just drop stock exchange in the comment section and I'll do just that. If you're new to the channel, my name is Elvin, and on here I cover everything that has to do with investments in Africa, basically everything finance related. And also, I'm interested to know that we have a type of brand that we are going to launch pretty soon.
All right, so that basically I'm gonna let it keep going, but some of those brands and things. I mean, I got a baby. I don't have a baby coming. I got a granddaughter coming. I don't know about African diapers. I'm not sure about that. They got African diapers. I don't know much about that. But either way, the oil sounds like a plan. The refinery sounds like a plan. All right. So let's get back.
What I am talking about, right? Now, if this is something that interests you and you are part of those going to take the by the phone and interested in joining this project,
all right,
contact us at capital@gmail.com and you will be more than welcome to join the crew. Now, back to what I was talking about concerning the Dangote shares. The direction is still right, but the timing is not. Which means the question right now is not whether to buy. The question is whether you even know how, because when the window opens, that is where most people get it behind. So if you are a resident in Nigeria, the process is straightforward. Here is what you need to get started.
So this is for Nigerian residents. If you're not a Nigerian resident, that doesn't mean that you cannot invest. You still can invest in it, all right? But it looks like you have to have a valid ID, a national ID card, a passport, driver's license, and voter card. You know, there's different forms of ID so that you can open up an exchange on one of the Nigerian stock markets.
The NGX website and check their trading license holder list. Well-known names with strong stock platforms. Stanbic, IBTC, stockbrokers, Meristem, Continental Securities, CSL stockbrokers, and Behavior. Now, step 2, open a brokerage account. Open them online. Submit your documents to the broker platform. Now, step 3, the broker sets up a CSCS account for you. That is a central security clearing system account where your shares are held electronically. Think of it as your digital share wallet. Now, step 4, on the brokerage account. Transfer Naira from your bank. When the IPO launches, you need to know your application fee and your fees. Now, step 5. When the IPO opens, submit your application through your broker. State how many shares you want. Fill the application. Wait for allotment. And after allotment, your shares land in your CSCS account.
Now, it's much like opening up a Charles Schwab or Charles Schwab, basically, because you have to fund those accounts. You have to wire the money, right? So I had a Charles Schwab account. I had a TD Ameritrade, a couple of different accounts, digital wallets and stuff like that. But this is totally different because this is a whole nother exchange outside of the country. So you want to do your research so that you know if you're going to be able, that's why I say do the research. You can go look this up. Tig, what's going on? How you doing, man? Glad you could join me. Go ahead, hit that like button for me, man. Appreciate you for coming in. I'm just looking around to see if anybody's ear hustling. Trying to hear what I'm saying over here, but the news has to get out, so I do want you guys to, pay attention, like listen up.
Guys, and be on the prospectus. When Nigerian IPO starts from 20,000 naira, you do not need to be wealthy to participate. But what if you are not in Nigeria? Can foreigners legally buy Nigerian stocks? Yes. For Nigerians living abroad, Nigeria introduced the non-resident VPN, that is the NRVPN.
NRVPN, non-resident VPN is That's a very good question, but you got to look it up, make sure, because you're not a resident of Nigeria, and so if you don't if you don't have a resident, if you don't have the right, it's just like KYC. You got to do KYC. You know what I'm saying? They want to know where's the money coming from, who are the dad. Come on, man. But you know I'm doing it. Could you wait? They can't wait. They just gotta go make noise in the kitchen. I try to film when nobody's in here. Then everybody comes in and starts making noise. And this is an important topic, you guys. I really want you guys to get this. Take the time for it. It's time to take notes. Bro. So obviously you can, but just you're gonna get to the part where they're gonna pay you dividends in US dollars. That's the sound I like. Because, you know, I really don't want foreign money. I invested in foreign money before, waiting for it to increase in value, and then you got to switch it back over to U.S. money. This is a pain. It's hard. It's harder than crypto. Crypto's easy.
The NIPS portal. Pay around $50 and submit your passport and visit details. Once you have that, you can open a brokerage account immediately. Stanbic IBTC, CSN, Cardinal Stone, all of them actively service their foreign clients. Now, for the first time, you just need to wire money from your foreign account to a Nigerian bank. This generates a certificate of capital reportation, that is a CCI. That document is your possession, so keep it jealously. It is that document that allows you to take your profits back out of the country once you want to exit. But if you're in Nigerian, that is Ghanaian, Kenyan, Cameroonian, South African, the process is similar. Engage in Nigerian recorded access foreign clients. Provide KYC documents, passport, proof of address, sometimes in bank reference. Arrange either a Nigerian bank account or a custodian structure through the broker. And watch for the crossing listing. If that button is on Nairobi or another African exchange, you may be able to buy the same shares from your own country in your own currency without going through the Nigerian banking system at all. Now, before you start researching brokers, there are things you need to know first.
All right, real quick. Before you start researching the brokers, like she said, there's things you want to know first. Um, now, you got to be very careful because, but of course, there's going to be a lot of fraud. There's going to be a lot of fraud. One other thing that I can say this, all right? A lot of those banks that are in Africa, they do have banks here in the United States. There are African banks here in the United States. So it may, if you do the research, that's why I say you want to know when the time to get in, when this thing is going to IPO, how you can get in, and where where you need to get yourself set up, right? So that you don't miss the opportunity. Um, so I just encourage you to make, it's not even a bad idea to just maybe write down a list of, or Google, ask a chat GPT or something like, hey, give me a list of Nigerian banks. Give me a list of Nigerian banks that are in the United States. Once you find out, or any African banks, South African banks, Nigerian banks, any banks that are out of Nigeria or South Africa or Africa, there's a lot of them here, believe it or not. You know what I'm saying? I mean, people probably don't know that, but for my African brothers and sisters that they know, right? I had a friend of mine. We used to work together. He's from Egypt, and we were driving together one day. We were team driving, he saw a bank that he says that bank is in Egypt. That's one of our banks back home. So yeah, I said yeah. So there may not be widespread, but you do have banks from Africa that have locations in the United States. I mean, you think that Chase or Wells Fargo is on over in other countries? You'd be surprised. So we got to really kind of open our minds to a lot of this stuff: foreign exchange, foreign markets. A lot of us, because for the most part, people they don't have no they have no education about this type of stuff. Um, so many people still don't know about you know things like Bitcoin or XRP, XLM. People don't know about. They don't even know what crypto is. A lot of people, so they don't know they don't know what a digital wallet is. So they wouldn't. The people just don't. A lot of people just really, really, really. A lot of people don't even have bank accounts, right? They don't. They use the check cashing place. You know what I'm saying? And it's not like they don't know how to go open up a bank account, because there's plenty of bank accounts. People just really have no need for them, because when they usually get some money given to them, it's probably on like a government issued card, or somebody gives them a check that they could probably go somewhere and cash. And since they don't have a bank account, say they get a check from, like an attorney or something, they'll issue you a check. Not that they were getting a check from their employer, but some people may just get a check. They probably don't have a bank account that does, that they get a direct deposit to. So, you can find out what kind of banks might offer the IPO when it happens. But you just want to make sure that you're looking into this stuff, and you got to find out when the timing is going to be that this happens, and how you could position yourself and try to fund an account. Um, but this does sound like a very good you know and it's getting more and more. Listen, this is getting more and more attention. This is getting more and more attention because why? It's happening. It's not like they're planning. They're in the planning stage or the phase of trying to get something started. It's already going. It's going. They're pulling in money. They're pulling, if they're making hundreds of millions of barrels and stuff like that a day, man. They got customers. Look at what's going on. Look at what's going on. Don't nobody got time to be waiting for the Strait of Hormuz to get open. If they can get oil somewhere else and it's refined, they're doing it. They're doing it, right? They're making the deal. Those ships ain't even going nowhere near there, right? From Nigeria, from their port, they ain't, man. So they're strategically located, away from all the conflict too. I want that. That's crazy, you know. But it's always good to know that this type of stuff happens. It's going on.
For decades, Nigeria did something that made no economic sense, but they continued anyway. And the thing is, it's not just Nigeria. Most oil-rich sub-Saharan countries, like Angola, also practice this trade anyway. So Nigeria pumped crude oil out of its own ground, loaded it to ships, and sent it to refineries in Europe. Those refineries processed it into petrol, diesel, and aviation fuel. Then they loaded it back onto ships and sold it back to Nigeria. Nigeria paid for the shipping twice, paid for the refining in the middle, and then bought back its own oil at a price that foreigners set. Now, that arrangement made some people very wealthy. But you see, none of them were Nigeria. And the moment Aliko Dangote built something that threatened to end it, there was response.
All right, welcome. Hey, how you doing? Thank you for liking. How you doing, Motivated 2010? So this here is talking about the oil, of course, the oil refinery. We got everything going on right now with this oil, all right? And I appreciate you for joining. What I wanted to do here was I wanted to make everybody aware, bring this to the table, to the discussion, because I got my people definitely are African diaspora, helping to spread the word that Nigeria is coming for that oil. Well, not even coming for the oil, but that they're right now they're leading the world in oil refinery. They have the largest oil refinery in the world. And they're pumping oil right now, making jet fuel, making diesel fuel. They're selling it to, I think, Britain. Or they have a lot. There's a lot going on that ain't nobody talking about because everybody's so focused on the Strait of Hormuz because there's a big conflict that's going on. But and I whenever I hear them, these news broadcasts, and I'm like, man, they're talking about the Strait of Hormuz. I mean, they got the whole country, they got the globe right now, and is everybody's in a frenzy. Everybody's inflated prices everywhere because of this. Everywhere, right? And it's almost as if just if you think back a little while ago when they went into Venezuela and they were seizing all the boats. Oh man, I'm hoping my phone battery doesn't die. Okay, and they were seizing all the boats because they wanted to take Maduro out of there and change the regime because they want the oil refinery companies to go down and I'm trying to think where Maduro was sending his oil to. I think he was sending it and having it refined with the Chinese. Long story short, we know that oil is big business, very big business. Nations are being very, I say they're becoming wealthy. They just straight gangster and they're taking and your resources like your precious oil and stuff, right? But they're charging. They were at one time charging Nigeria for to refine the oil that Nigeria pumped out of their ground, and then they would sell it back to them. And that's how it goes. Like if you can't refine your oil, all right, I'll refine it for you, and then I'm gonna sell it back to you at a premium price. So now Nigeria, they said, man, no more. We ain't doing this no more. Now they have the biggest oil refinery on the planet. So and it couldn't be at a better time while the Strait of Hormuz is kind of like messing it up for everybody. So where's the money? A lot of business now is going over there, and they're getting ready to IPO. They're getting ready to IPO. That was the main thing. That's the main thing about this, because you can become a partner. They want and they want to enrich their people. First, the people in Nigeria. You know what I'm saying, and then the collective, right? And so we have to know about this. We need to know about this so that we can position ourselves in time before, because they're not talking about it. And who's going to go put will set up and try to, capitalize on it. The very same ones that would have tried to capitalize on the fact that before they can refine their own oil, they were just all right, run it up. Oh, we'll take that and we're gonna sell it back to you. Yeah, those guys. Yeah, they will go over there and uh, try to load up on shares when the IPO happens. Yes, we got definitely have got to have this type of be made aware of these things, and so that's why I like to um, stay in contact with the diaspora and what's going on. Um, so yeah, that's what this discussion is, and it's a beautiful thing to see. But they were attacked, bro. They attacked them, man. You gonna do the research on this thing, man? You gonna see, man. They try to bully them, man. The World Bank and all the big people try to bully them over in Nigeria. False claims were made and everything about the oil and the petrol and the gasoline that they were making. And so, but then it was all disproven. It was all disproven. It's not something that's they're having the works. They've been working on this since, I guess it's been since 2010 or 2016 or 20 years and years and years. It's up and running now. I mean, they're producing massive amounts of refined oil daily, and ain't no stopping in sight. Ain't no stopping in sight. Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. I'm trying to make sure I plug this in. Sorry about that. I got my potato chips going on. There we go. Yes. So how you guys doing? How are you doing today, Motivated? I'm glad you're joining me. I saw you this morning. I mean, I got a little late into the live, but I said I gotta come up here and talk about this. And got a lot on my plate. So I'm gonna play this right here. Let me hear this real quick. This is awesome news. Awesome news.
The objective of the IOCs is to ensure that Nigeria remains a country which exports crude oil and imports refined petroleum products. That statement was made by the Vice President of Oil and Gas at Dangote Industries, who was describing publicly what his company was experiencing when it tried to buy its own country's crude oil. The accusation was precise because you see, international oil companies operating in Nigeria were not neutral parties in the free market. You had an interest in keeping the old system alive. Nigeria's four state refineries were chronically underperforming, constantly under maintenance, and being regularly shutting down.
So they were having a lot of problems over there. You see, so I'm good. I just a lot going on, like everybody else. Yep. You know how, but we got to keep going. That's it. Um, I just got the news. I'm gonna be a grandfather. Oh yeah, and that too. Yeah, I gotta. We were yesterday talking. We were on a like a Zoom call with the the event planner or whoever the people that they were at the place, my daughter and son-in-law. um yeah, they're walking around showing me the venue and everything, and I was on the thing with them. Oh yeah, sorry about that. So yeah, the wedding. Yeah, the night bot. You better watch that night bot. You come back but the wedding is gonna be next. It's going to be. I think it's in June. Well, she has to pick a date. So, well, basically, I know what it's going to cost now. I found that out yesterday. So it says, as soon as you got to pick a date, I gotta give them $5,000. So I told her, okay, all right, hold off till after the holidays, telling them your date. Um, because at this current moment in time, it's a year out because it's in 2027. So I told her, yeah, no, but I have to put five. I got to put $5,000 up. So I told her, I said, I'll do that after the holidays because I got a lot going on right now. I have a lot going on right now. A lot going on right now. You know, pretty soon there'll be cardboard boxes all over the place. So it's a lot going on right now. But I got my grandbaby coming too. That's another thing, man. That's another thing, man. And I am so excited about that. So, along with the news of everything like the IPO with the SpaceX, that it was a good thing. Um, just all the stuff that's happening, you know. Um, and then, we're looking forward to every time they talk about it's always a blessing. Man, I really, really, really I look forward to I wanted to go. Look, I took my oldest son out because we had man the other day. Me and my youngest son got into it. We got into it about and I said, he's just young. When the baby comes, his attitude going to change. When that baby comes, that should probably be enough. Thank you. I appreciate you for that. But when the baby gets here, um, everybody's attitude, I'm pretty sure, gonna change. Man. Yes, gotta. It's got to give them time for to process it, and it's like me too. I'm still excited. I wanted. Me and my oldest son went out last night, and so I'm talking to him, and he's really excited. But these kids are really still young minded. Um, I'm, you know, I'm still like very, very, very. I'm very proud. I told a lot of people already, so I'm proud. That's a feeling. We're all feeling it. We're all feeling it. My wife is feeling it. I'm feeling it. The kids, you know. Uh, yes, and that's. Listen, I understand, and so we don't know the gender yet, right? And so here I am. I don't care. I want to go out and start buying stuff for a little girl. And if it ain't a little girl, I'm gonna just give it all to the goodwill. That's the money, you know what I'm saying? And then I just, when I find out, but I'm gonna get jump on it. Right? But I got too much. I, I'm gonna have to do something. It's gonna be either or. I might go out one week and buy stuff for a little boy, this stuff for a little girl the next week, and just have a bunch of stuff. And then, somebody can use it. Somebody's baby will get it. Yeah, yeah, man. Cause this is awesome. This is awesome. Ah, this is awesome. So, yep, that's what we were discussing. This good news come across me. So I said, let me spread the news on that. I spread the news on the baby. I spread the news on, the upcoming IPO for the Nigerian oil refinery, which that is huge. A lot of good things popping, man. A lot of things to be proud of, especially, I mean, Africans as a whole should be proud, should be happy. African Americans need to be happy for what's happening over in Africa. You know, that's that they're becoming great. But they've already been great. Africa's always been great. They're becoming great again with this, right? You need to get make Africa great again, Nigeria, right? Now we can refine all. I will find Nigeria or refinery. Yes, you're gonna be in for a surprise. I'm trying to tell you, this is big, and they don't want to talk about it. You know, they want to keep us distracted with the Strait of Hormuz. But see, it's bigger than that. It is so bigger than that. And that's why I say about that XRP, because their money is very devalued. You know what I'm saying? I think it's Nairobi. What is it? What is their money in Nigeria called? I think it's Nairobi or something. It's very, very, very devalued. But this is going to um, increase the monetary value of their money. But their shareholders are going to be paid in dividends in U.S. dollars, and it has to do with that the petrodollar. You know, the United States dollar. You know, then with the petrodollar. So the London Stock Exchange. Yeah, it's you got to look into this thing. Yeah. Yep. The Dangote, the Dangote. I keep calling it Dangote. I think that's how they pronounce it. Yeah, it's said to be the largest international public offering in African's capital market history. Yeah, this is big. It's big, and hey, I want to make sure I brought it up here to you, to all you guys, everybody, man. You know, but they're not talking about it, sadly. But they talked about SpaceX. They talked about going to Mars. They talked about they they said that Tesla's going to get us there, right? But SpaceX is going to be. They made SpaceX the success it is because of how they broadcast it. You gotta be a little leery about stuff like that. I mean, I'm not saying that, you know. Sometimes, you know, I didn't get any SpaceX. Last IPO I jumped on was Uber and Lyft. You know what it did? I said, "Nah, I'm good. I'll wait to see what happens." You know what I'm saying? After that, I was like, "Nah, I'm good." These IPOs, a lot of times they overhyped up anyway, man. You know, but I mean, not saying that all IPOs can, you know, will do that. You know, but you know, it's that's the time you kind of want to get in because you know you're buying things based off of future expectations. If you're at the initial, you know, um, when it's the initial price offer that it comes onto the market, you're buying it based off of future the future performance. So you are it's just like I said earlier. I was saying like anybody that knows about Apple when Apple IPO'd, you know what I'm saying? Like there was Apple all this and that before it IPO'd, and you knew what kind of product it was. So you know people are sitting on Apple. That's like GE and stuff, like even when it fell down, to buy it. It wasn't at an IPO, but when the price is right. And some of these things, like they're going to increase in value. So very good to know about, and just get positioned. Do some research and get positioned if there's something that you feel is going to, do well. But this is too big to fail, especially at it's crunch time right now. And once they make a deal, I wonder who's going to get all that oil. Where's all the oil going to go? When because a lot of what's up in the Strait of Hormuz has to be refined. It's no wonder that it's like they're stopping it from moving in a sense. You know, they're playing a very big game of chess with this oil, and there's some big players out there, and they're not just. I had to drop a bomb on y'all. There we go. All right. So that's another thing I would just want to talk about. I'm just about up to an hour, man. I'm gonna. I'm glad you were able. Let me see. This thing on my phone. I don't want this phone to die. Oh man. Yeah. There's a lot of slick stuff going on behind the scene. Well, you're welcome for the update, and of course, you can. Yeah, I'm gonna get working on the playlist. I got to do some stuff today. It's what I said. That the country that's on one. I gotta do some more researching and stuff, which I'll spend the rest of my day right here doing. I gotta work tonight, actually. Yeah, we're going on nights for the next couple weeks, so I really need to actually get ready to get some sleep because I gotta get up at 7 p.m. All right, peace out. You have a great evening. Enjoy yourself. It's beautiful out there. I might get me some rest in a little bit because, like I said, I got to work tonight. I got to work. We're on a big project. Everybody's on night shift. They said everybody working nights for the next 2 or 3 weeks. So that's a bummer. Yeah. But anyway, thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate y'all for hitting that like button, for your comments. Motivated 2010. Appreciate you for showing up, and I definitely get that playlist worked on for you. And I find out any new news as far as this refinery, the gold tapes refinery over there in Nigeria. I'm going to bring that right to you. Yes. So do some research, look and see how is it possible, what exchanges that are, or what platforms are going to offer this. And it's still got some time. I think it's in September that's supposed to happen. So um, that's gonna be a good month. That's my birthday month. So all right, y'all have a great rest of your day. Do me a favor, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to the channel. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about the video. If you know anything about what's going on over there in Nigeria, as far as this refinery, what have you heard? Good things, bad things, please leave me a comment, let me know. And I will make sure that I find something in relevance to how you can, reach out to. I mean, I don't know any brokers over there, but I'm gonna research something and put it up in the link. Put a link in the description, a little bit more information for you guys, so you can go there and get some kind of a guide as to what to do research on. All right. Again, appreciate you guys for joining me. Uh, have a wonderful day. Hit that like button on your way out. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to this channel and share the video. I'm your boy Swizzy. Peace, and y'all have a blessed Sunday.